Welcome to another episode of the Game Theory Podcast. This is episode 71. 71, and we missed a week. This is a 1 week late. Mostly because of... So flying, why is that even a thing? Why do we let people get away with this shit with flying in general?
The fact that they can do whatever they want and you have to just take it?
Just whatever the hell they want. I get there.
I think it's because most people can't fly, so they kind of have the monopoly on that whole thing.
Yeah, most people can, but some people can't. So those people need to open up some kind of flight where they just put the people on their back and then fly around. But yeah. So after we all go out to your house, right? We all went out there. We all set up our computers and stuff. And we have a great gaming time. We get ridiculous. It was a lot of fun. And then, but the one bad part is I've got to be at the airport at 4:30 a.m. on Sunday, which if you've been drinking,
Too early.
you're hating life. Yeah. So we get there, and we make the time. I wake up poor David, and he's like, well, and then we drive out there. I'm sitting in the airport hating life. I go through the security and everything, get on the airplane, and I'm literally sitting on the airplane whenever they're reading out that beginning part where they're like, hello and welcome to flight so-and-so, and here's how to put on your buckles. And while they were doing that, in the background I was going, wheet, 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 like this alarm. I was like,
It's vaguely
that's not good. Yeah. I never flew a 747 or whatever it is, but I'm pretty sure that's part of the pre-flight checks you wanna attend to. Anyway, so
they'll probably turn off while we're in the air. Just ignore it.
It'll go off. I don't even know what that thing is. Is that the coffee maker?
It's like when your check engine light comes on and there's nothing wrong with it. You're just like, let's turn off on its own, probably.
Yeah, except when you're flying a passenger jet full of hundreds of people. But yeah, similar to that. Anyway, so this thing is going off, and I'm like, well, this is not good. But I was thinking, they probably got it handled. I don't want to be one of these panicky people. But no, we sit there for 5 minutes with nothing, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, this is your captain speaking, and there's a part of the plane, this is how he says it, there's a part of the plane that recharges our batteries while we're in the air. And I'm like, batteries? But anyway, he goes, and that's broken, so we're going to let you know how long we're going to be sitting here. And he just clicks off, and I was like, awesome. So
I love how
there
pilots
for
always have the, hi, this is your pilot speaking.
They were caught by surprise that they hit the comms button. I don't understand that, man. I went through a ground flight school, and we had to call ATC and stuff, and I was never confused. I was never oh, hey, ATC. Yeah, this is November 7413. Damn, what was I calling about? How are you? Oh, wait, we're going to be taking off at 31 degrees. Anyway, no, that doesn't happen. You know exactly what the fuck you're going to say. I don't get it, whatever. But yeah, they do that. Point is, flight got pushed back to 1 p.m., and eventually, I'm sitting there until 11, and then they're like, just kidding, or not, 8, I think, or 9. And they're like, just kidding, it's going to be pushed back indefinitely. We need to trade out planes. That plane is totally broke. We should not have put you in there. I was just thinking, I was like, how did that pass maintenance inspection? What the hell? Anyway, so yeah, point is, I ended up staying there until a whole nother day. I left the next day at 5 o'clock, and they lost all my luggage, and they're awesome. But I just got the royal treatment by these guys. But anyway, so we were there, didn't have our equipment.
What flight company were you traveling on? So we may give them a ringing endorsement.
Oh, the greatest part is it's the one. Okay, so American Airlines, I guess, is merging with U.S. Airways and American Airways or something. Anyway, so it's the biggest one now. Them and Delta, and Southwest, I think, or Delta, yeah.
Wait, so it's America, U.S. Airlines? So it's the most American airline ever.
It is.
So it should be number one, right?
They can't even see through the cockpit window because it's just a flag and there's a bald eagle that flies them into the...
It's actually bald eagles that are underneath providing lift. They're all just flapping.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's like an airship, and instead of a balloon, it's just a bunch of eagles tied to ropes. And
I would fly in an airship so fast, man. That'd be awesome. But anyway, yeah. So especially if it was powered by Magica.
Yeah. It's green. Yeah. It's environmentally friendly.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's why we didn't record. Sorry about that. And then we were gonna make it up past that, but then I got some kind of mysterious illness. We still don't know what it is, but I went to the doctor and they drew all the blood, he asked me these weird questions. He was like, essentially, well, I won't get into it, but he asked these weird questions. He was like, he'd look at me and he'd look like eye contact, just staring at me like this. Do you eat a lot of pork? And I was like, what? No. And he was like, mm-hmm.
He was doing his Dr. House face.
Yeah, because like he asked all the regular questions, and he's like, oh, okay, so how's your heart condition, or do you have a heart condition? And I was like, no, I actually just had an echocardiogram at the VA because they just check up on me, and yeah, it was perfect. They said, my heart's really well, and he's like, oh, how often do you exercise? And I'm like, well, four times a week or so. I'm a long distance runner, so I'm in pretty decent shape. And he's like, huh. And then, like, he seemed to get stumped after a while. So he's asking these weird questions. Like the Dr. House
recently been running at incredibly high elevations where you're not used to not having oxygen?
I told him that, man. I told him everything. But no, he had no clue. So he's like, eventually he's sitting there and he's like, well, we're going to get you figured out. You just take it easy. That's how he said it to me. And I was like, probably not a good sign.
You're going to die. So just try not to do that, and we'll call you back.
In the meantime, I'm going to draw every pint of blood. They just kept, like, I've had a lot of blood drawn from the VA. They run, like, the full gamut of tests when you go there every time, and for the regular checkups. But this time, like, it just kept coming. I was like, are you just going to ever stop? And she's like, well, you got little hoses, don't you? And I'm like, don't say that, man. That freaks me out. That's weird. That makes me think that, like, if a vampire got a hold of me, he'd plug me dry in, like, 2 minutes. 2 seconds, probably.
2 seconds.
But anyway. So we're going to find out Monday what's going on, but hopefully it's cancer or something, that can't be cured.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed. God willing.
Yeah, that's good. I'd hate for it to be. Actually, I kind of would hate for it to be something like a little stupid. They're like, oh, you're just a little low on iron. No big deal.
Oh, you're the tiger. You just weren't eating your veggies.
Yeah.
Didn't get your full 10 hours last night for sleep.
And I was like, shit. Because
you were all tuckered out. All tuckered out from running around up there in Colorado.
Tell you what, you just lay down. I'll just tuck you in, buddy.
Good. I prescribed some hugs and some orange juice and chicken soup.
And some soul food, because that's what you need. So anyway, yeah, I've got some mysterious illness. We'll find out what it is. It's probably no big deal, but it's probably also cancer. According to WebMD, I've got super cancer. So.
Yeah, WebMD. Everything's cancer. Also, you might be pregnant. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah. So anyway, that's why we didn't have one last time. Sorry, guys. That's all my fault. And the airlines, but we could have made it up and put it out on Tuesday. But I started getting fucked.
Yeah. It was a mess. But on the good news, Tim has converted completely to the crockpot lifestyle.
Really?
He's been crockpotting it up. I saw you two had a roast freeze-dried vegetable meal.
Your wisdom is far beyond my years, son, because I went to that place, man, and there was no better food than that roast. Like, it was just cooking all day. It was so good. And you just, like, dump it in there. It's perfect.
The crockpot is some next-level bachelor cooking.
It is, and I thought it was, like, next-level, like, marriage stuff, but no. No, indeed.
It's next-level everything, really. You just got to embrace it.
Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I'm glad that he turned towards that. We ourselves got a roast. We're going to put it in tomorrow. Just let it cook all day. It's going to be delicious.
I've got a pork roast cooking even as we speak.
Wow.
I'm experimenting with dry rubs and various sauces to cook them in. It's getting fancy over here.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very bachelor-esque, but all right.
Quite the adult. I've got a crock pot. I'm doing my taxes. I owe the government like $600 for some reason. So,
what? You're a teacher.
I know. I make less than $30K a year. I'm like, oh man, I wonder what kind of refund I'm gonna get because I'm so poor. And apparently my refund is negative $600 is how much I'm getting.
The worst, man. You need to have some illegitimate children. That's the best.
I know. It's like the one time a year where you want to have a dependent.
Yeah, the one time, exactly. And then just get the fuck out of here. I don't want to pay for you. But yeah, no, it's nice, man. It's like $3,000 for a kid. That's crazy. I've got two. I get like $6,000 guaranteed every time, and then whatever else. But pretty fancy.
Nope, not me.
You want to borrow one? I'd like to borrow one.
I'm actually gonna have to budget. Like I was like, well, I can't even afford $600 out of a paycheck, so I'm gonna it's not due till April. So I'm like, I was gonna do my taxes in January, but I'll just wait a few months, start saving up to buy myself a nice, sweet, something more expensive than any first-gen console I would like to buy. Tax.
We're gonna. On the other hand, because we've got kids, we're gonna fly to Mexico with family. So
I really hate. So like I've talked to my dad about it, and he's like, "Ah, see, this is why you should be Republican. You hate taxes." And I was like, actually, the reason I'm getting screwed is because I'm not having a family, which is a Republican value. That whole child voucher thing, that's very family values, pro
Yeah,
kids, pro
correct.
anti-birth control thing. So I think I'll just keep being independent, thanks, because I feel like both parties want my money and don't give me anything in return.
Yeah, and I would imagine, and I don't know, because I don't follow politics, but I would imagine that socialism would be something that pushes towards,
Yeah.
like socialism, that democratic would be something that pushes towards like public goods being funded well. That's
Uh,
just a trend in the past. So public goods being education probably being the most important one. I'd
mm,
imagine that they'd be pushing for pay boosts, but I don't know. Is that true? Do Democrats push for that?
I think just the teachers' unions push for that.
Nobody else will.
Nobody else really cares.
This is so shitty. Check. Look at my mug. Look at this. No one else in
Oh,
the podcast can see this,
the
but
Boba
it's a
Fett.
Boba Fett mug. It's pretty outstanding, and I'm drinking
That's how
really
I tell
shitty coffee in it.
That's how I tell people how to pronounce the VU form of fair. I'm like, it's Fett, like Boba Fett. I'm like, oh.
You got that. Well, cool. All right. Well, let's move into recent news then.
Yes.
All right. Welcome to recent news, where we talk about what's been in the headlines. For anybody who's not watching the video of this, which you probably shouldn't, we try to make each other laugh, and it almost worked.
It's like
Anyway, recent.
see how close you can get before someone laughs. It's like gay chicken, but with web cameras.
Oh
And
man. Oh, Amy. Okay, so my wife's brothers, they play that, and it's disturbing, man. Like, cause they'll like look each other from across the room, and they start like slowly walking towards each other, and you're like, oh, I see what's going on here. A little bit of gay chicken, no big deal. And they walk closer and closer, and pretty soon they like slowly put their arms around each other, and they slide it down and grab each other's butts, and I'm like, what? And then they're like lean forward, and their lips like so close, and they're staring into each other's eyes, and they get like, it makes me uncomfortable. The point is to make the other person uncomfortable, but like I'm like, what are you doing?
because it's
What
got
are
that
you
little
doing?
bit of that element of incest involved too, makes it even worse.
Yeah, like the gay incest. Yeah, so it's just sets off that specific part of my brain, I guess, where I do not care, do not want two brothers to
Speaking
make
of
out.
that, I have a couple students, and as a joke, they're both guys. As a joke, they changed their Facebook status to in a civil union,
Nice.
just messing around. And everyone's like, "Ah, what a funny joke." Well, they have a mutual friend whose parents will no longer let them come over to his house because of their alternative lifestyle.
Oh my gosh. Do they know it's a joke?
Yeah, he's like, "It's just a joke." He's like, "We don't joke about things like that," and it was like it got really like they're just banned from that house now. And and the one of them was just like, yeah, my dad talked to me about it, and he was just like, yeah, I know you're joking, but I feel like I should tell you that if you were to come out as gay, it would be my Christian duty to kick you out of the house.
What the fuck? Okay. What's hilarious about that is if they would have updated their status to be like, if I'm in a relationship with Gambit, which is my dog, they would have laughed. They would have thought that was funny, and like nobody would give a shit.
Bestiality's not a joke, Jeremiah. We don't joke about
No, no.
bestiality.
Yeah, they could have said that, but I bet they wouldn't have. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I was like, he's telling me about it. I mean, he said it was his Christian duty to kick you out of the house if you come out as gay. He's like, yeah, it was weird. It's like I didn't know who my dad was at the time, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's really weird. That's rough. Like, I always thought, and this is just what I hear because it's what they always say. I always thought it was a Christian duty to love your kids, no matter what. But
Well,
no,
in those conflicting situations, of which there are many, you get to kind of decide. It's great.
just depending on how big of an asshole you are, you just pick the one that matches your temperament.
It's a really fun, yeah. It's what's good about confusing moral systems is you put them all in there, and then there's always a verse for whatever you want, and you get to decide whatever you want and justify it. It's great. Like, what is it? Entertain a fool to his folly, lest he believe he's wise or something. And then literally the next verse in Proverbs is, do not entertain a fool to his folly, lest he think that you are folly or fool as well. I'm like, what the fuck? Those are literally back to back.
Both
What
pretty
the
true.
fuck?
Those are both
Yeah.
pretty true.
The Proverbs was put together by a bunch of like sayings, right? But it's just funny that they didn't even try to put those, like sayings obviously are going to conflict over time. Like, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and then out of sight, out of mind, right? We tested that in psychology. Which one of those is true? Because conflicting ideas. We're science. We give a shit. We're not like
Which one is true?
Which one is true? Oh, well, actually, we use this. That's what's funny. We use this in an experiment to show why psychology is important and people don't know it. This is by Lilienfeld, and what he did was he said he interviewed a lot of people, and he said so in psychology we found, and half the people, okay, so he split up this group into two. First group, he said, so in psychology we found that in couples, we had them tested and pulled them apart over time, and then we tested their affection for each other afterwards. You may have heard the old phrase, "out of sight, out of mind." I guess you can tell how it went. And then they're like, yeah. Obviously, the affection went down, and they looked for other people. And we're like, right, okay. So how sure of you that you already knew what those examples were before I even said it? And they're like, oh, like 9, like 10. And the other group, they said the same thing. They were like, so, hey, yeah, we took a group, pulled them apart or whatever, and I'm sure you can already guess, but oh, they didn't even say that. They said, yeah, like absence makes the heart grow fonder. We were trying to test that. What do you think happened? And they're like, yeah, obviously, yeah, absence makes the heart grow fonder. As they went away, affection went up, and yeah. And they were like, well, how sure are you of that? And they're like 9, 10, like the average was way above 8, and from 1 to 10, right? And then afterwards, we were like, no, fuck you. You guys are dumb. Like, as it turns out, that neither of these things are true. And both of you thought you knew some psychological principle because of some cultural maxim that you've got in the back of your head, and you pulled it up. You literally pulled that just to defy your belief.
I hope the researchers said, fuck you, you guys are dumb at the end of the experiment.
I hope you did, man. Lilienfeld's a saucy bastard. I wouldn't doubt it. I went to a talk of his, and he talked about the science of psychology and how to get it out there. Because so many people have the weirdest ideas, and they think they know how humans behave. That's the worst part. And they'll argue with you. That's what's crazy. Like this, oh man, it's just happened on Facebook. This girl that I actually am friends with, in real life. And there was this research that said, they found out that addiction. Did you see this? It's going around on Facebook.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You did?
Yeah.
Okay, that was okay. So
I
you
sent
posted
you, and then I called you and said, "Hey, did you read that article I sent you about addiction?"
Oh, such I'm the worst friend in the world, man.
I was like, he didn't respond.
Well, anyway,
make sure he got that, because I'd love to hear his thoughts on it.
Oh man, well, here are my thoughts, David. No, she put on there like, oh, this can't be true, like because the findings were basically this. They tested for some things, and one of them was why is it that some people can take like heroin or something 3 out of 4 times and they become addicted and they kind of go downhill, whereas someone else will take heroin 3 out of 4 times and it won't happen. And I forget the drug. The reason why I don't give a shit about this, I'm not citing it exactly, is because this is a well-established principle in the literature. Like we know the context is important. Like for example, when you take homeless people, this actually happened on accident. I think this was in Seattle, but this could have been the New York one. So public health tried to help these homeless people who were addicts, right? And they were heroin addicts. And they said, here, we're going to give you public housing. So they said, get them off the streets. Like maybe this will help with their lifestyle. We got to do something about this homeless problem. So they create these public buildings.
Weren't they giving them free heroin too to like help them?
No, but here's the cool thing, and we've done this since then in like Vancouver, and I think this. In Vancouver for sure, but they said what that is was they said you guys can continue using drugs and drink alcohol. We don't care. We're just trying to give you a place to live because they were testing to see if that would help. The funny thing, what that did was all of a sudden something like, and I don't remember the statistics, but it was something like 70 to 80% of them died like within the next month, which is crazy, right? And what do you think they died of?
I have no idea. Not exposure.
It's like a Dr. House thing. No, but it's not. It's like psychology. But they died of heroin overdose, which, what do you think the Republicans did then? They were like, oh, see, they went crazy. And then we were like, no, wait, hold on. So we went and checked. No, they were taking the same amount. And so it popped up in our mind, like, or the legislators, they said, hold on, maybe psychology is a real thing. And we're like, yeah, psychology is a real thing. We'll test it. So we did it on animals, not homeless people, because that would be horrible. So we did it on animals where we doped them up with heroin over and over in a specific cage. We bring them in this cage. We dope them. They love life. They just roll around. They're loving it. And then we put them back in their cage. And then one day, after about a month, or maybe it was only a few weeks, but whatever, after a specific time, we moved them into a whole new cage. And at that cage, we doped them up with the same amount, and they died. They overdosed. Now, the reason why that is pretty, like, context is important, is what I'm trying to say. So, like, if you go to a regular dope house and you, like, get high on heroin, which is probably most of our listeners.
Right, yeah. They're probably doing that right now as they listen.
Yeah. Oh no. So don't do it at home. Say like unless you always do it at home, because the thing is when you get there, there's stimulus and response in our body, right? We see this certain get up, and it releases these kind of anti-doping chemicals, right, to kind of like smooth out the curve, so that it's the thing that builds tolerance. So those tolerance chemicals are kind of pumping into your brain, and you're like, okay, I'm good to go. So when you take the heroin, you can take just as much as you normally take. Well, when you're in a whole new place, and your body doesn't know you're about to take heroin, and you take it, even though consciously you know it, but your body doesn't know it, then you can't release those chemicals and you overdose because you don't have any tolerance. So it'd be like a newbie taking that much heroin, and you know how those newbies always OD on heroin.
Noobs.
So that's what happened here, and like a lot of them died. And so as it turns out, like we do this in alcohol research. I was in something called the LASAR, the Lab for Anxiety and Substance Abuse Research. I've had the two coolest labs, by the way, LASAR and SIP. How cool is that?
Yeah.
But anyway, because the rest of them are like Cub or Build or something, just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, we found that when we get people drunk, like college students, we'd bring them in and we'd have them sit in like in a classroom, just an open room, and we'd have them drink. They would test completely differently, like both blood alcohol content, so like a physical change, and also psychologically, they'd act a lot differently than if we built a bar. So we ended up building a bar inside of there, and then the levels kind of leveled out. It was nice. We had to have people in there drinking with them. We had to have a bartender, and I played the part of the bartender. And then we had to have like a TV and snacks and stuff. And then once we did that, the only weird thing was we had a little beakers that we'd pour the alcohol in, like very things. But anyway, this is a huge tangent for the Facebook post that you put on there. And this girl said, "No, I don't think that's important. Like, that stuff's not important." And I was like, absolutely is important, but I don't remember the point of that. So you're welcome.
You ever notice how the bar on Cheers is like no bar you've ever been to? Like it's like super well lit and everyone's totally happy and they're just like talking and having a good time. Like
yeah. That's weird.
Like a typical bar, I used to work at bars. They're just dark and kind of like people are just sitting there drinking. It's kind of depressing. Sometimes there'll be some people talking, but they're usually a lot quieter and there's just music playing.
Yeah.
So I heard a theory that the bar on Cheers is actually the subjective experience of what it feels like to be drunk at a bar. Because like as you start drinking, you're like, yeah, everybody does know my name, and the party didn't start until I came, and you're like the most important person in the room now.
Oh yeah.
So it's like Cheers is the bar as told through the subjective lens of the alcoholic.
So like that Frasier character and Norm, he's not even a post office guy. Like he lost his job like years ago.
Yeah, he still wears his shirt though because it's like his only clean shirt.
Yeah, it's the only clean shirt. It's a work shirt. Not his postal office work shirt. You can pick up like a Hanes white T-shirt at Walmart for like 30 cents.
Just sitting there drinking a beer in his post office shirt.
Just because people like give him more respect than if he came in like a holy shitty his shirt. Yeah.
And they're always glad he came.
Man, that makes that depressing.
Yep.
Anyway, so recent news.
Yes.
Oh
Okay.
man. All right. So one of the cool things is, did you hear about this Guinness Book of World Records, the largest FPS battle in the world?
No.
You're such an FPS guy. I don't know how. But yeah. So in the Guinness Book of World Records, there was sorry, I'm eating a pig in a blanket. We had a party last night. Yeah. Oh yeah. So the largest in the Guinness Book of World Records, there was the largest like FPS battle in the world of how many people participated, and it was in the hundreds, like 300 or 500 or something. It's irrelevant because now it's broken. Where now that they just broke it, and actually I had it pulled up here. I'm gonna look as soon as I can find the right. I closed it. Sorry, but anyway, it was now it's PlanetSide 2 holds the record, and they have like over 1,000 people. I think it's like 1,300 or something. People fighting all at once in one single battle.
Jeez.
Online. Yeah, PlanetSide 2.
Can anybody run that without lag?
I don't know. I think it's all server side because I used to play that game for a little bit, and there was massive battles. Oh my god, that game it's fun in theory and it's fun in a burst, but
Nice.
Anyway, yeah. So that's currently going on, or it was earlier today. So still going. So yeah, if you want to be a part of that, I guess you can jump in because it's now in the Guinness Book of World Records.
What? All right, well, I've got a news item from the Wall Street Journal. This is, so they do like a word of the year thing, and they have different categories for nominations. and one word in particular won most likely to succeed, as in like most likely to catch on and be like a word that's going to be happening in the future. And it was salty,
Yes.
as in exceptionally bitter, angry, or upset.
Yeah, it's like a gamer term. That's great.
Yeah, it was great because I mentioned it to a non-gamer. I was like, man, he was getting. I used to get pretty salty when people would do this. He's like, salty? Is that something I should know? And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. I sound like the Urban Dictionary or whatever for salty. And then, like literally the next week, that article came out. And it's like, look, we're on the cutting edge. And I said to him, salty.
See? Yes. Soon. This is more like like that research that I found surprising when I started my thesis was the pervasiveness of gaming and how much it's affected our culture. Like that would be interesting to see, like take some, like, I don't know, sociological measure or some shit, like, and see like how much of that permeates, like, or is, I guess, starts with gaming cultures and gaming identities. Because salty is definitely something that started with us. Like, you salty, bro?
Yeah. It's they even mentioned in the article it came from the gaming community, and it's catching on. And there's a new category this year that I thought was interesting. There's the most notable hashtag category.
Really? Most notable hashtag?
Yeah, the nominees were hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag I Can't Breathe, hashtag Not All Men, hashtag Yes All Women, and hashtag Why I Stayed.
Wow, those are some pretty sensitive topics.
Yeah, reading those, it kind of made me realize, like after the Charlie Hebdo massacre, or after really any terrorist attack, what do we always hear
Well, I mean, you hear
from like Islamic apologists?
oh, well, victim blaming a lot of times, or silence.
I hear a lot of not all Muslims. This is a small majority of Muslims, not all Muslims.
All right.
And I was like, how is it different from not all men? Like, why is it wrong for men to be like, we're not all rapists, but it's okay for people to be like, not all Muslims are terrorists? Like, isn't that just, of course, not all men, and of course, not all Muslims?
Yeah, that's something that I don't know. Ever since you showed me this like whole, so we're non-believers, this whole community of non-believers. You were like, I don't know, man, they can be pretty vitriolic. I'm like, no, they're all great. But no, you're right. There's some real goobers, and like that one in particular, I brought up, and I was just shouted down. They were like, "Oh, so mansplaining." I was like, "I don't know what that means, mansplaining." Listen, I'm just a regular person coming to the table, and I just want to figure out why you guys think it's a certain way. I'm not telling you to do certain things. Like my job is conflict resolution. I'm not being hostile. Like, help me understand. Like, that's my profession. I'm getting a PhD in conflict resolution. How to talk about things that are very sensitive in a way that nobody gets offended. How the fuck are you getting offended? Which I don't say out loud because that would be offensive. But
yeah,
I don't understand that I can't have these conversations. I've been told that I'm like the worst person in the world multiple times. What? Like I just,
in the world. Well, I mean, after Osama bin Laden was killed, you were number 2 for a long time. You got.
I was. Yeah. Well, yeah, you shouldn't have went down. This literally happened. Like what I said was, I was like, oh yeah, actually in our lab, this isn't something I study, but my advisor does, and some of our my fellow lab mates do. Is they look at like it's called diffusion, which just means like how does information get from us, like the scientists, down to the people. That sounds horrible, but we make jokes about being in the plebes, yes, in the dirt in the street. And they're like, this is wonderful dirt, sir. And just be like, have some science. We throw
There's some lovely filth over here.
No, really, it's because of the impotence of science. Like, it's not because of like we see ourselves higher. We joke about being in an ivory tower and like throwing rocks down at like practitioners and being like, hey, you need to do this better, and nobody's gonna pay attention to that because fuck you. But anyway, how do you diffuse that information out? And one of those, fuck, where's it going with that? But diffusion of information. Oh. Yes, like yeah. So I was talking about I was talking about on this post about the fact that like the LGBTQ community, so like the people of the gay rights community, have done really well like socially, like to the point where academics are like, whoa, let's look at them as a model, right?
Right.
Because they did
as far as like gaining allies and advancing their cause.
Yeah, like meteoric success. I mean, insane.
I know, like we're at the point now where there's like 11 states that don't have gay marriage, and the Supreme Court's gonna weigh in on it. Like next, I hear myself echoing in your speakers, by the way.
I'm sorry, man.
But they're gonna weigh in on that, and if you're the prosecuting or the defense lawyer, whatever attorney is going to be arguing the case for gay marriage, all you have to do is say, listen, either you make equal opportunity marriage the law of the land, or you admit that Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and Georgia have a human rights issue correct and everyone else has it wrong, which historically is not super common when that happens.
Right. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. But the point is you're exactly right. Like that's they've done really well for themselves really quickly. And I mentioned that in a post because they were talking about I can't remember. It was it was there's no such thing as reverse racism. And I was like, well, I don't study racism, but we do. That's part of our purview. And I've taken a class in multicultural, and no, there is. I mean, it's understandable. It's like battered wife syndrome. Like if you keep a kid in a basement locked up and you give them a pail to shit in, and then like that's it, and you leave them there for months, and then when they come out they stab you, like that's kind of understandable. It's not okay. Violence is never okay, and I would never advise it. And if somebody said, what should I do when I get out of this room? I wouldn't be like, stab them. But when they do it, you're kind of like, well, I get it. So it's the same thing with like reverse racism. That's how I see it, is that, it's not okay. It's never okay. Nobody should be like, that's okay. But on the other hand, like, I kind of get it. Like, if somebody's
right,
like,
it's easy to understand where it's coming from.
Exactly, understandable. And so I put that on there, and I was like, I was like, oh, guys, I think this might be a good way to look at it. That we never want to say racism is okay ever against anyone. Like, but on the other hand, we were pretty shitty to black people for a long time. So, African Americans have it pretty bad. They're starting a ways back. But anyway, the point is that somehow that got this ire. Like these people are like, hey, fuck you, don't mansplain it. I don't need a white person's opinion. And I was like, well, first of all, you're white too. You're just a woman. But I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone. I was just thinking maybe this is a new way. I was just trying to throw in the hat, advance the conversation. I apologize for hurting anyone's feelings. But inside, I was like, what the fuck? I was a little salty myself. But eventually, the part that pissed him off was I was like, okay, well, guys, I was just maybe it should be more like the LGBTQ community where they did like this real cool thing called allies, and anyone could just raise their hand up and be like, I'm an ally, and then you're like, yeah, all right, you're in the club. Like, there's no hostility for that, right? But anyway, I mentioned that, and they were really pissed. Oh my god, they're like, how about you never use my community because I'm LGBTQ to explain like beating black people? And I was like, I don't think anyone did that. That would be horrible. That would be the worst thing. If I did that, I would be a bad person. I don't believe I did that. That's horrible. And anyway, then this went on for like 32 comments of me being, slowly diffusing the situation, of like, wow, that sounds horrible. That if that's how I said it, let me just scroll up. I said this, but I guess I could see how you would see it that way. That's pretty unfortunate. Like I would never, do that. Right? Just
this is why people don't like you, liberals. You need to have more people skills.
No shit, man. Especially like, and I get it. The identity like. So there's a psychologist who studies this at the Zero Institute, victimization, the psychology of victimization, and it's you need to be careful. Yeah, you need to be careful because while it is horrible to be a victim at all times, there's a point where you gotta be careful because you can overdraw from the account basically, Like, and that sounds horrible, but this is an actual cultural epidemic. So the psychologists want to know about it, and he's a Jewish person, and he was studying it in that purview. How like apparently they at least this is coming from him. I have no idea. I'm not a Jewish person. I've never even met a whole lot of Jewish people, but he says that in their community they do that a lot. They feel like people are attacking them, and they'll say that like, are you anti-Semite? And like I said, I know nothing about that. I've known very few Jews, but that's why he started it. And but then he started applying it to other people too, like feminists and things, and they did not like that. But anyway, so you just gotta be careful, man. Like victimization is shitty, but it can also give you a lot of power because the point of what he was saying was that you're never wrong and you're never able to be questioned, which is great for empowerment, but it can be dangerous depending on what you do with it. Sure. So I just got some of that, and I was like, settle down, dude. I am not against you, or lady, I guess. Anyway, so that's recent news. That happened recently. News. But yeah, PlanetSide 2. Yeah, big old battle going on.
Yeah. Nice.
Anyway.
So, have you heard what Marvel's doing?
No. Avengers 2?
They are currently in the process of destroying the Marvel Universe.
What?
Yeah, they're gonna collapse all of their universes into one kind of setting. So instead of like right now, there's like the Ultimates line, and there's like the Marvel 616 line, and there's like these alternate world lines, and Marvel Zombies, and all these spin-offs.
Yeah.
And so the idea is, and they're testing this out with something called the Spider-Verse. So like all these different versions of Spider-Man. There's like Spider-Pig, right? Like Spider-Ham,
Yeah.
and there's like the manga Spider-Man, and there's like that Japanese like Power Ranger Spider-Man that like summons a dinosaur to drive in.
What?
Spider-Man, yeah.
I've never heard of that.
there's the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and there's Spider-Man.
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah, there's Spectacular
Amazing.
Spider-Man with Doc Ock. Like they've got all these different versions of Spider-Man, and previously they've all been in their own little like pocket worlds, right? Like there's Earth 616, there's Earth 001. They've got all these different versions of Earth. It kind of goes into quantum physics. Like it's actually the way comic books view reality is we're starting to theorize is not that different from how it actually is. Like these ideas of like alternate universes. It's like part of how they think that how electrons they just kind of blink out and they blink somewhere else and they don't know where they're going in between.
Oh, right.
So one of the theories is like one of the quantum theories, and I'm not a quantum physicist by any means, so this is going to be a
You're
dumbed
not?
down version of it.
Oh.
No, I'm actually just a dabbler. So one of the theories is that like those electrons are like briefly going to other like alternate universes, and that like just hop in between them.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's how Marvel Comics worlds works, a bunch of alternate universes. And what they're saying, like in this Spider one, there's these guys called Morlun and the Inheritors, and they're these like weird vampires that like it's weird. So like basically, if you have an animal-inspired power in the Marvel reverse, they call you like a totem animal, like you have a totem connection to it. So Peter Parker, when he was bitten by the spider, now he's like connected to the spider. And there's like this person called the Master of Webs, who's like the patron god of all spider totem like warriors. And or like Black Panther, his totem is like the panther.
Right.
So these
black.
inheritors, they go from universe to universe, from like reality to reality, killing and draining the life essence from these spider totems in order to become stronger. And so they've just been going around and wiping out Spider-Man in different realities. Like the Spider-Man Hostess fruit pie commercials from like the old comics, those little like ads.
Yes.
Like, it's like I'm gonna feast upon you. Well, feast on these delicious Hostess fruit pies. He throws them at him, and like, oh, they're so good, I can't resist.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they, in this recent crossover event, they had like a little like commercial for Hostess fruit pies, and Spider-Man gets attacked by Morlun, who's like this vampire who's hunting all these alternate universe Spider-Mans in their dimensions. He's like, well, taste these Hostess fruit pies. He like throws them at him, and he just goes bam and like knocks him out of the air and like picks him up and like crushes him and starts eating him. So he's dead now. The Hostess shilling Spider-Man's dead. And Spider-Man
Nice.
and his amazing friends were all killed. So like they're just going through killing all these versions of Spider-Man. And so Doc Ock, as Spectacular Spider-Man, finds out what's happening, and he like gets all the Spider-Man from all these universes into one place so they can fight them together. So it's this weird like cameo thing. It's got like Spider-Girl, the alternate future daughter of Peter Parker and Mary Jane. It's got Ultimate Spider-Woman from Ultimate Spider-Man, like the clone of Peter Parker, who goes by Jessica Drew. It's even got Gwen Stacy in one alternate timeline where she's actually the one who got bitten instead of Peter.
Whoa.
So just like all these
that.
different versions of Spider-Man in one place fighting together. So pretty interesting little event. But what they're doing is they're using that as a template or a practice run for what they're gonna do, where they're gonna have. So basically, there's all these universes start to collide, and the superheroes like the Avengers or whatever, they have to try and prevent the universes from colliding, or they'll get destroyed. And they actually fail to prevent this event. So all the Ultimate line and all of like these other lines are all going to merge into one world called Battle World, and it's just going to be every version of every character living in the same world. So you might have like 3 versions of Spider-Man in the main canon Marvel world from now on, or you might have and so like people are going to die. Like it's going to be this one like big event where Marvel's taking all of their various storylines and branches and making it into one single kind of continuity.
Crazy. What the hell, man? I never heard of that. That's awesome. I mean, I don't know if it's good, but it's very cool.
And I think during part of that, they're killing Deadpool.
What? He can't be killed.
Yeah. And that's exactly why they're doing it. Because like Deadpool can't be killed. No one thinks he can be killed. We're gonna kill him.
Really? He's a lot of people love Deadpool. I think he's okay.
Yeah.
I think he's overhyped myself, but I don't. When people are like, he's my favorite, I'm like, cool. I don't begrudge them like I do Halo players. But
Yeah.
but
We're so snooty.
I don't think Deadpool is like a bad character. Like Xbox is, or like Halo's a bad game.
Mhm.
I think it's I think I just don't get it. You know,
Yeah.
he's a one stick pony. Like one stick pony.
Although
One stick pony. One trick pony.
he's a pony with only one stick, and that's just
Yeah.
not what you want.
I like a multi-stick sort of equestrian.
Although I did like the Deadpool trailer where he's like attacking the guys who are getting away from in the car chase, and he's
Yeah.
he's like the car's flipping in slow motion, and he's holding up the picture he drew of like him chopping off that guy's head. He's like,
Yeah.
"That's gonna be you."
It's awesome. Yeah, I would watch that show. Like, if you could take the best of Deadpool, like he has great moments, but like I read some of his comic books when we were in college and we used to buy comic books. Go down to that store and we were following the Ultimate storyline and a bunch of others, but I can't get into it. It's a lot of content and only some of it to me is quality and funny. The rest of it's like, what the hell? But whatever. Maybe it's because one of the first ones I saw, he was fighting Spider-Man and making him look dumb, and I was like, fuck you, Deadpool. Spider-Man's the best.
There's there's that YouTube series like Death Battles where they have like two characters fight and they do all the research. I just watched one that was Deadpool versus Deathstroke. It's like Slade
Really?
Wilson, yeah.
Who won?
Slade Wilson versus Wade Wilson.
Wait,
And
who's Wade Wilson?
Deathpool, or yeah, Deathpool.
Oh, Wade Wilson is Deadpool. That's right. Slade Wilson is
Deathstroke.
Okay, Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Oh, well, who wins?
Who do you think would win that fight?
It's got to be Deadpool, right?
Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah, you
close,
can't
but Deadpool just kept regenerating everything that got thrown at him.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. Well, I don't know if you heard about the biggest news probably to come to not just gaming, but just I think America or the world in general. This is a big one. You ready?
Yes.
A new Farmville. No, I'm kidding. No, HoloLens. Have you heard about that?
No.
The Microsoft thing? You haven't heard about this? Oh,
I've
dude.
not.
So imagine Google Glasses, but it goes over your face, your whole face hole.
Your whole
And
face.
yeah, it's like a visor kind of a whole
Like
thing. And,
Tron.
yeah, you put it on, and suddenly, like, it shows people walking to the living room, and they click a button basically, and they're playing like Minecraft, but it's like on their table and on their couch, and they're moving stuff in and out, like it's a hologram, HoloLens, and like it also shows other things, like you can see the weather, and it's on your coffee table, and it's 3D, so when you walk around it, it turns towards you, stuff like that. But yeah, and they had this one where he threw TNT on the wall as Minecraft. And then he touched them, and they exploded, and exploded the wall, and it looked like there was a Minecraft universe behind it. And when you moved, it was 3D. It was fucking rad, man. You need to go watch that trailer.
That sounds
It's
like
just
they've been experimenting with that with the 3DS. Like it's got that 3D
Yeah.
camera, and like you can like hold it up and you can see your room, but like things like monsters will come out of the wall, and you have to like try and shoot all the monsters while they're flying through your room. So it kind
Yeah.
of stuff like that, but applied to a faceplate.
That's exactly what I thought about when I played it. Was that those little cards on the 3DS that came,
Yeah.
where you set them down and you kind of move around. That part was awesome. Yeah, this is like that, man. It's so cool. So it has a lot of applications, but as far as gaming, this is it, man. When we were kids, and the Nintendo Entertainment, no, before that, Coleco and Atari, I was like, what if I could be inside that pole position,
Well, that sounds like a sexual euphemism. So
Yeah, what if that pole position could be in me? Could be positioned
if you'll
inside me.
establish dominance in prison, they'll put you inside of a pole position.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah. Besides prison rape, yeah, pole position, but with a headset. Like, oh man, this is it. So I'm excited to see what happens with this. Microsoft's got it, which I'm not real excited about. I use Microsoft Windows. I use a lot of Microsoft products, but historically they're very focused on profit more than like quality product. So
Welcome to corporations.
we'll see. Yeah.
So
We'll see what happens.
some sad news. Speaking of hashtag not all Muslims, so ISIS demanded the Japanese government pay $200 million for 2 hostages that they had
What?
kidnapped.
Who is it?
One of them is just this Japanese guy who his life had fallen apart and he went to the Middle East just to like find himself, and the other guy was a journalist who went to Syria to get him out, trying to rescue him. But they got taken by ISIS, and the Japanese response to it, like not from the government but from the people, was to get on Twitter and take pictures of ISIS people and put them into anime memes to make them look stupid. So there's like one where it's like this guy dressed up in like the full black like terrorist get up, and he's got a stupid little Pikmin like little sprout coming out of his head. He's just kind of like tilting his head like he's a weird Pikmin. Or it'll like have him like lined up with a bunch of other anime characters who are all like overdone, dressed in black. So they're just making like all these. Or there's one with like a bunch of schoolgirls and like da-da, and it's just like this ISIS guy standing there in the middle of them. So it's kind of the Japanese Twitter's response to terrorism is like, fuck you, and we're gonna make funny cartoons about you because you hate cartoons.
Yeah. That is kind of awesome. Like, there's no winning scenario there, but that's winning.
Yeah, no, it's
awesome.
sad that people are probably going to get their heads chopped off because ISIS is just terrible.
It's inevitable. I mean, like, even if they would have paid the money, do you think they would have given it up? I mean, maybe. Historically they have before, but they've also been shot before, so who knows?
Yeah.
There's no winning. When you get caught, you're dead, man. Like, and I'm not being heartless. That's what we were taught, training as well. So,
Hashtag religion of peace. Hashtag not all Muslims.
there was a cartoon where there was this, like, it shows the Earth, the landscape of the Earth, and just dead people everywhere and exploded buildings like all over the place, and these jets in the sky like shooting missiles at each other. And there's two guys in the middle that are soldiers, and they're just kind of looking at each other. And he's like, "Huh, it's funny. This whole thing started with a war over, a disagreement over who was the more religion of peace."
Yeah,
like that's probably how the world's
religion.
Yeah, settle the fuck down, seriously. Like, if I don't believe the way you believe, chill.
Yeah,
really
calm down.
that shit. But that's what our other podcast is about, so who cares? Here, actually, I'm out of news.
Yeah,
do you have any
me too. That was my last one.
Okay, cool. Then I guess we can move into what we've been doing for gaming-wise. So that's gaming experiences. All right, this is gaming experiences. This is my rock that has a face on it because I rock faces. My wife made it for me. It's got googly eyes. It's on a rock.
Adorable.
You can hear them. Anyway, okay. So what have we been playing? We obviously played Here's the Storm.
Yeah, we had a good game. We had some good
everybody's
games
in.
last night. We were on a bit of a winning streak.
Yes, despite the fact that some of us were fucking blitz drunk, David. He shows up to the party just trashed, and he's like, "I was trying to finish all that beer you guys left from the party."
You guys left a lot of booze at the party.
What made you think, like, one sitting, you're like, "I need to nail this. I need to get rid of this quick."
Like, there's a lot of clutter here. I want to clean this place up.
And you can't throw away alcohol. So
Yeah.
anyway,
But in my defense, I'm actually I'm like one of those like drunk kung fu experts, like the drunken monkey style.
Token master. Yeah.
Token master. I do some pretty clutch skill shots that I usually miss sober when I'm slightly tipsy.
I know. I remember there was one in particular. We're running towards their wall, and we kind of ambush their team, and they're like, "Oh shit!" So they're running behind their little safety wall, and I don't know where Nova, that's who he's playing, pops up and nails this clutch shot like it. I think he finished the guy. I can't remember. And I was like, what the
just like sweet angle. Like I just peeled around. And it was like the no scope shot, and I was like, he's like, ah. And
I was like, I couldn't nail that like sober. What the
no,
hell?
I couldn't nail it sober either. But the right amount of rum and vodka and IPA mixed together makes you a really good sniper.
That's what it is. Okay, I'll let Korea know. They're the gaming mecca. I'll let them know immediately.
Korea is also the Alcoholics Anonymous mecca, so there might be
they'll love
something
it.
to that.
They'll love it.
I mean, Russian snipers and Russians have vodka. I mean, it's correlation and causation.
Dude, when we were in Iraq, there was the snipers that were being trained from the north was from a female Russian sniper. I can't remember her name.
Widow.
Was it Black Widow? That's what. I'll go tell them. I'll let the intelligence department know. No, they had a name for it. I just can't remember. It's something Russian sounding. It was Sklemov or something. Whatever. But yeah, it was this female sniper who's ridiculous, and she was training all the Middle Eastern folks to shoot our faces off. So that was pretty crazy. There was a guy actually just before we got there, the rotation before we did. He was looking out over the wall. There's like a wall inside the base, and he's looking out over the wall, and he's just kind of like looking. He's got his little, I think he had a FLIR up, little scope, and all of a sudden he takes a shot, to the head, but it hits his helmet in the front, and it actually skids up and around because of how it hit. It skidded up and around his skull and blew out the back of his helmet, and the guy just flew back on his feet and like landed on the ground.
Jeez, lucky.
Yeah, yeah, and he walked out of it alive, but didn't even get a Purple Heart because he didn't get injured. But yeah, and there was an officer there at the time too, so because of that, me get a medal, I'm sure.
Did
The officer
you
was
did
there.
you ever see the American Sniper movie?
No, oh, with Bradley Cooper or something. Is it
Yeah.
good?
I don't know. It's getting mixed reviews. Like, there's half of Twitter seems to think it's a propaganda pick. That's just like, if you want to hate those brown people and love America, watch this movie, and you're gonna hate them even more and love your country even more. So there's that, and apparently the guy who wrote the book was a pretty pretty big liar. Like, he made up a lot of things about his life. Like, for
Nice.
example, he's losing, like, his estate is losing a lot of money because he made up some things about Jesse Ventura. And with American libel laws, like, it's really hard to prove because we have freedom of speech is like so strong here that you really have to prove without a shadow of a doubt the guy not only said it but knew it wasn't true when he said it and said it with malicious intent. Like, it's a really high bar. Few people can actually prove libel in America. That's why we can say almost anything. Whereas if you listen to like a British podcast, they're very careful about how they couch their words.
Hmm.
And he lost that. So there's Jesse Ventura's gonna make millions off of this Sniper movie probably from things he said about him that were untrue. But anyway, I'm not sure how we got off on that. But we did play some Heroes of Storm, and we did do some pretty clutch plays there.
Yeah, we did for sure. Also, I finally played that game, This War of Mine. It won a bunch of awards. I don't know if you heard of it.
Nope.
Okay, so it's like what would happen if a war came to America kind of thing. It really could be anyone. That's crazy. My Google just came up because it's trained to whenever I say OK Google, it pops up, and it just popped up and it was trying to search This War of Mine. That's pretty awesome. Anyway, yeah, and it's like a survival kind of game where you're trying to like survive basically with this war outside, and you got to deal with all that. So it's kind of like a zombie survival, but like a whole new twist on it. And it's pretty good. I mean, for all the accolades it got, I expected a lot more. I thought it was going to make a point. But there's no plot really, as far as I am in, and it's really unforgiving. Like, everything's randomized, so it's almost like a roguelike because everything's randomized. You can get a sweet start, but even if you do, you never have enough stuff. And then it just depends on the places. You got little houses, places you can go, and like maybe one is like full. It's like a family, and you can steal from them if you want, but they might get violent, or you might just be a monster, because like some kid's like, "What are you doing? That's my food!" And when you're like, "Give it to me, I need it," and you run away. But most of it's just like pilfering around. But
Sounds like Daisy.
surviving. Yeah, well, this is it's a different view. It's more like of a Terraria view. What would you call that? Like side-scrolling, isometric kind of.
Oh, okay.
So you got like a 4-story house, and you can like set up a bed once you get the materials, and you got to manage your people like Sims almost, but in a cool environment and pretty cool art style. So I'd recommend checking it out. But I think it's $15. I wouldn't buy it for like 5 to 7, maybe 10. But because it doesn't make the point that I thought it was gonna make, about war. Like, cause look at all these accolades, like, oh, way to go, cool. But maybe that's the ending. Maybe the ending's good. I don't know.
Well, I've been playing Spider-Man Unlimited on my phone here. You might be able to see it if I tilt it the right way.
It's just incredibly white, just like the rest of your house.
White.
There it is.
There, you can see him running. So it's one of those like endless runners, like Temple Run, where you just run, dodge things, but it's got a Spider-Man twist. So it's like you'll be running for a while, and then all of a sudden the building will disappear, and there's like a web slinging part where you're just slinging through the city, and then there'll be like a wall crawling part and like a jumping off buildings part. So it's got like a more varied kind of endless runner. And but it's actually tied into the Spider-Verse event I was telling you about. So you're bringing in all these other Spideys from different dimensions into your existence. And in fact, the mainline Spidey, the Spidey 616, the one from the main Marvel world, he meets like Superior Spider-Man, and he convinces him that he's from the past, like that Spidey 616 is just Spider-Man from the past, because he doesn't want Otto to know that he's eventually going to lose. So,
nice.
So it's kind of fun. It's pretty addicting. Like, you just run. You unlock new Spideys, and then they try and sell me, the freemium currency to get better Spideys. I'm like, no, I want to earn them.
Oh man, that's pretty fun. I the one thing I am excited about the Spider-Verse like collapsing together is the real Venom, as I call it. In other words, like the big monster is Eddie Brock Venom is gonna beat the shit out of fucking Flash Thompson bullshit. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Like Special Forces Venom bullshit. Like, and if you guys like this, I'm sorry, but I'm just expressing my distaste. I hate that. And then they've got a new one where it's a big bulky version of that basically, just armor, and that's the new Venom, I guess, that they're introducing. Fuck that, dude. I want Monster Venom back. That guy was badass. I want to see him come in and whip the shit out of those other guys.
They even have like the movie versions of like Spider-Man as like different actual Spider-Men, because like the Spideys are talking. He's like, "Hey, I saw one of us. He looks just like that guy from The Social Network. Did you see that guy?"
Yeah, yeah, with Tobey Maguire and Alex something. What's that guy's name? Little
Social
skinny guy.
Network?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's dating.
Yeah, I want to say Garfunkel or something, but
Yeah,
Garfield. Andrew
there you go.
Garfield.
There it is. Yeah, yeah. You know, I like that guy Spider-Man. I don't care. Like, I don't think he's the best, but I like him so far.
He's certainly better than Tobey Maguire.
So I think he's the best so far, is what I should say. And
Yeah.
I'll go beyond that and say I think he's pretty good because he's
got that,
smarmy.
he's got that Peter cockiness and like that kind of erratic movements of like a Spider-Man, that like the kind of a twitchy kind of nerd thing where
Yeah,
he's just
and
the way he moves.
And the combat they finally got almost right. Like it's about as it's much closer.
Yeah,
Like when
it's
he's
more about
basically
agility and
parkour
like
type
using his surroundings. The combat in the first Spider-Man movies felt like Power Ranger choreography. Like when he's fighting the Green Goblin, bam, 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 bam.
So bad. But I like that. But I don't like one thing that a lot of people were talking about was the fact that he's a little too cocky, which I kind of get. Like, but maybe this is like Spider-Man once he's gotten his groove back. Just like Stella. He's,
Well, and Spider-Man always
he
uses cockiness to hide his fear. So if he's cocky, it's usually because he's scared shitless.
Well, I mean, but even as Peter Parker, he seems a little cocky sometimes. Like he seems less nerdy. But
you find
whatever,
out
I can get behind
a lot
that.
more than a backbone.
Yeah. But that part was. I mean, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, like original and everything. But that part was a little hard to believe. I was always like, why isn't he come out of his shell now? He's fucking Spider-Man. Like, if anything, you should be pulling off like a Clark Kent. You're actually awesome. You're just pretending you're nerdy. But he was still super nerdy, and I was like, maybe over time, after like 10 years, maybe he starts to get a little confident. He's got
Spider-Man's had the most girlfriends of any Marvel character. Like, if anyone has a right to be cocky, like his learning history with beautiful women is pretty positive.
Guy's doing great, yeah.
Yeah,
But
he does okay for himself.
he does okay. But we also played some Dungeons & Dragons. We got to play my campaign, which is good.
Yes.
Fun, right?
How was that,
Um,
DMing after so long?
That was fun, man. 4th edition, dude. Like, so fun.
And it really has to be done in person. Like, that's the thing about 4th edition, because it's so map heavy, and like you were able to pull out tiles and like tokens and maps. Like, it's really fun when we can all be at the same table.
Yeah, and a lot of it is like making things scenic. So like that's helpful. Like when you can use your I don't know, surroundings. I don't know. Like that was really fun. Was that fun playing that campaign?
Yeah, I wish we could have played it more.
Yeah, there's like a whole story arc. There's kind of a mystery thing going on, and they didn't really get to the fun part. So it'd be like watching a murder mystery just during the boring part where they're like, so we got a dead body. And they're like, looks like every other, and they just walk out. That's like basically where they got. I was like, no, it's cool. But maybe later. We've been talking about redoing another big gaming get together, maybe in summer or something.
Summer's a good time.
Once a year, bitches. That would be great. But that was fun, man. I really enjoy 4th edition. Like, you're able to spice it up if you want to, and I think we did pretty well.
Yeah, we were able to really describe what we were doing with our at-wills and encounter powers.
Yeah, there's flexibility. Plus, if you're, I don't want to say a good DM, that'd be like masturbating, but if you're even a decent DM, I think, it's kind of like you give your characters like creative powers as well, like let them, like whenever you were like, I'm not at this lottery thing that's going on, I'm actually on the boat already, hope that's okay. And I was like, of course, yeah, it's awesome, sure. Everyone had to be there, but you stowed away, that's fine. Like, I think that's cool.
Yeah, everyone just kind of, you give everyone kind of free reign to collaborative storytelling instead of just one person telling the story and everyone else reacting to it.
Yeah, unless it's like critical to the storyline, and I mean absolutely critical that everyone be there, or it's balanced, like oh, I have a super wolf sword that kills wolves. Well, we're killing wolves right now. That's weird. Huh, weird. I just that's always been my backstory. Like that would be something I'd overrule, but
right.
Anyway, yeah, that was really fun, man. I fucking love 4th edition. So fun. You guys are fighting horrible monstrosities out of the forest.
Yeah, it would have been
good.
It'll be good to finish that next time. I'm excited to see where it goes next. See how Brian's character develops. Brian was playing kind of an airhead, and so it'll be interesting to see what path she goes down.
Poor guy, man. He doesn't realize that, like, in my campaigns, things always get sick as fuck. Like, And he was like,
He's like a lighthearted.
Oh, we're sailing. I want a beach party.
Yeah.
Look, oh, there's some bushes that are moving. What the fuck? And then everything just gets just horrible. And pretty soon he's like, I've got bile on me, my arm's missing. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to my death campaign, bitch.
Yeah,
Like,
you have to be kind of an emo character to fit into the death campaign. Like Dev and Sebastian, they're just always grumpy, always frowning.
well, they always, and you can start however you want. Like that was supposed to be Kendrick's like story arc, and then or Phineas. Whenever I showed him, the shining young, knight in a world that's actually more like Mordor. Like eventually it's just gonna break you. And I always think that's interesting character development. So I like introducing people like Brian's character. He's already starting to get fucked. Like he's already like, oh my god, I can't trust anyone. Everything fucking sucks. And I'm like, that's right, bitch. This is like Game of Thrones. Get it?
Yeah, he's the Sansa Stark of your game.
Yeah, he is. That's what he is. He's like, I want a prince and fall in love. And it's like, oh, well, you can get that, or you could get fucked. And then he just
he gets wrecked so hard.
Oh man, I love DMing. It's fun. But anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much all we've been playing. Besides, Here's the Storm. We played
mostly
a lot
watching
of games.
TV since you guys left because we were gaming so hard that week.
Yeah, I've been catching up on Full Metal Alchemist because I got struck by the mystery plague, and so good. Man, they took it off Netflix, unfortunately. Netflix is losing everything, but I found it on something called like Dubs Online or something. So, good times.
They have Friends. Like Netflix has Friends now.
Yeah, I know. What the hell? That's their big announcement.
I know.
Yay.
Like, yay! I was like, that's not even the best show of the '90s. Like, it's like TV wasn't that good in the '90s to begin with. Like that wasn't the era of The Sopranos and Breaking Bad and everything. But they didn't even bring back I'd be more excited to see Seinfeld come back on Netflix than Friends. Friends is just a goopy show with like 5 two-dimensional characters who do the same things for like 9 years.
Oh, that's the way to put it. 2-dimensional. Jesus, they are so scripted. I mean, Joey played it well because that's kind of how he is in real life too. But everybody else, it's like, oh, okay, he's gonna do the Chandler thing. Just too big of a cast and like not smart enough writers.
Yeah.
Whatever. This isn't a show about Friends.
Nope.
Anyway, we can move on to the actual meat of the show, the in-depth analysis.